shall begin.
Just about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our adjourned town board meeting. Today is August 22nd, 2017. And I would ask that Councilwoman Michelle Johnson leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please all rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope everybody is enjoying the wonderful weather we're having here in the town of Oyster Bay. We've been working very hard to continue to deliver some exceptional services. Things at the beach have been wonderful, and our pools, I will point out that we have had some more life-saving saves by town employees. We're very proud of those, and we'll be recognizing them in the near future. Moving forward, we will be also hosting something very special at the town's 32nd annual Bluefish Tournament, which is scheduled for Saturday, September 10th at Theodore Roosevelt Memorial Park. This year's event will feature a brand new component, making it even more attractive to all residents of all ages. When I was a state assemblyman, I hosted a highly popular Marine Expo, which drew great crowds each year who learned about the marine environment, protecting the environment. Well, I'm very pleased that thanks to the dedication of our Parks Department, we'll be hosting a similar event in cooperation and conjunction with our Bluefish Tournament. This year, Teddy Roosevelt Park will host our first Town of Oyster Bay Waterfront Fest in conjunction on the Sunday, the 10th of September. This event will feature food, entertainment, great prizes, all kinds of educational components, and really talk about protecting the environment, learning about the marine life in our waters, and how families can enjoy that marine life. Visitors will enjoy exhibits, so much for the youth to learn about and how to protect it, as well as having face painting, arts and crafts. It's a wonderful event, Sunday, September 10th at Teddy Roosevelt Park. Yes, I will ask our councilman to make a motion, please.
Supervisor, I make a motion that this meeting reopen from the meeting that was adjourned on August the 15th. Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Will the town clerk poll the board?
Supervisor Saladino.
Present.
Councilman Muscarella.
Here.
Councilman McIgnone.
Here.
Councilwoman Alicia is absent. Councilwoman Johnson.
Here.
Councilman Imbroda.
Present.
Councilman Hand.
Here.
Thank you. The issue at hand today is Resolution 520, Single Stream Recycling. Today we continue deliberations regarding the town's transition from dual stream to a single stream recycling system. Since the last board meeting, council members have had an opportunity to further review bid proposals and ask the questions on our bid process and what to expect of the new company that would be doing our single stream recycling. As we have previously discussed, this single stream recycling initiative is estimated to generate at least $2 million for our taxpayers over the next 5 years. When you factor in the cost of selling our recycling trucks, that's another $1 million. That will no longer be the case in terms of spending money recycling, because the town has been spending to have our recyclables removed. This has cost the town money rather than generate funds for the town. So now, by switching over, we are generating monies for our town instead of spending them. In addition to our annual savings, the town will sell 22 of our recycling trucks by the end of this year. They'll no longer be needed due to the single stream initiative, as we will now be using our garbage trucks to collect up our recyclables. We anticipate that to generate another $1 million for our taxpayers through the sale of those vehicles. Together, we are turning every stone and looking at every possible way to further achieve savings, significant cost savings to our residents, and more importantly, we are delivering on our promises. And quite frankly, as Councilman noted at the last meeting, this is an amazing system. I believe the words you used, it sounds too good to be true. And Tony, what did you find when you had an opportunity to further investigate the system?
Well, Supervisor, members of the board, first of all, I want to thank you for indulging me last meeting. Too often in our history of this town, we'd see something, we get a bid, it'd be a low bid, and then we turn around and get a change order, and it costs us twice as much, and the responsible bidder a lot of times did not get that project and went to someone else. Like I said, we'll find out also maybe a change order, it'll be almost as much as the original bid. So that's why when the numbers were so far off, it kind of raised a red flag. I did some investigating. I met with the principal of Winter Brothers. I talked to Commissioner of DPW and Environmental, along with our deputy supervisor. And, you know, the company realizes what they're in for. They realize what they committed to. They will not come back to us in 6 months and say, I can't do it for this much. I have to redo it again. So I recommend that we accept this bid and move forward for the first year under this contract.
And you feel fully confident that you have fully investigated every aspect of this bid, this company, and this process?
Yes.
Well, that really seems to be, once again, a feather in the cap of the town of Oyster Bay in terms of our transparency. The issue was tabled, so we had the time to ensure that our board had a chance to look at this more fully, asking questions, turning this inside out, and determining that this is an amazing rate. As a matter of fact, this will be the highest rate paid to the town of any municipality, that any municipality receives for recyclables in all of Long Island, and one of the highest in the state of New York. So we're very, very proud of this. We're looking at receiving, once again, $2 million will be paid to the town over the course of 5 years. We have a right to renew this every year as we gauge the way that the program is being rolled out. And we're going to have up to another $1 million that we'll receive by selling off the trucks.
So Supervisor, if we get half the expected revenue that we get, we're doing much better.
Thank you, Councilman McEnone. That really speaks very loudly as to what a great deal this is. So good that you couldn't believe it was true until you further investigated it, and then you determined it's all true and so much more. So, are there any other questions or comments on behalf of any of the board members? May I have a motion?
Do we have comment on it?
Comment.
We had comment on this. We fully had tremendous amount of comment. The record has been left open. We've been available for phone calls, for emails.
What if you couldn't make it, but you showed up now?
For a multitude of ways for people to speak on this.
Are you denying speakers? I signed a form. I wasn't here last meeting. It's an open meeting. You continue the meeting. You're going to deny speakers on the resolution? Do what you want.
Let's see. All right. We have someone who would like to speak on this that was not here last time.
Shouldn't matter if you're here or not here.
Shouldn't, but these are the rules that we have in the town of Oyster Bay.
All right, Mr. Rip, why don't we give you your 5 minutes and you can talk about what a great deal this is. You have looked at the deal inside and out?
Hello, my name is Robert Ripp.
reside at 77 Sunset Road, Massapequa, New York, 11758. Could you please inform me when my speaking time begins?
That sound meant it began already.
Okay, thank you. I acknowledge having the floor. Thank you. Unable to attend the last two town meetings, I observed them via the live stream. I had thought the interim supervisor and members of the town board had reached a new all-time low when a request from a member of the town's council and the town's ethics board to table the resolution hiring Brian Nevin was ignored by Mr. Saladino, and that vote pushed through. I was proven wrong during the August 15th meeting.
Excuse me, Mr. Ripp, what does this have to do with single-stream recycling? Mr. Ripp,
responsible for costing
excuse
the
me,
town
Mr. Ripp.
$25,000 if he insisted with his request to table this resolution so he could better understand what he's voting for. I watched as you paraded your appointees up to the dais.
Excuse me, Mr. Ripp.
Preconceived determinations to push through both resolutions no matter what. If you're not interested or listening to
Excuse me,
council
Mr. Ripp, may I have your attention, sir?
and residents, I'd like to know just who you are influenced by, and when taking these actions and making these decisions.
Very sad.
I, like thousands of other residents, are extremely disappointed in your behavior.
Excuse me, Mr. Ripp.
Once again, I'm disappointed with you interrupting me while I have the floor. Thank you,
This has
sir.
nothing to do with single-stream recycling. Perhaps you were confused.
Oh, would you like me to...
Mr. Molinari is next.
Would you like me to compound? I'm very dissatisfied with
Mr.
manner
Ripp,
that-
I'm
Why is
sorry
this
to
germane
see
to the
that.
meeting? Would you like me to
Mr.
continue?
Molinari, you're
Okay,
up
thank you,
next.
sir. I'm sure you didn't want to hear it.
This is in regard to single-stream recycling. Thank you, Mr. Molinari.
Good morning, Mr. Supervisor and Town Board members. I did address the board on this issue during the public comment period, not during the official record. But I want to be here to say I support awarding this contract to Winter Brothers. It's good for the environment and it's good for the town. Winter Brothers has a state-of-the-art recycling facility which captures 95% of the materials, which is very good. It's excellent. So when you look at it, $25 a ton, the only municipality in town on Long Island is the town of Brookhaven. And they're paying them $20 a ton, and they don't have a state-of-the-art facility. So I support awarding this contract to Winter Brothers. I just want one other issue. I think you have to go back on the website and put on all the correct information now what other recyclables are.
Okay.
One thing I did find out from our meetings, Mr. Molinari, is going to be take a whole bunch of education of our public on what has to be done with this. And it's going to be a big process, and the vendee did say that he's going to work with us to get the message out. So
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Mr. Molinari. And I'm glad that you've taken a very honest approach and looking carefully at the facts and responding to the facts rather than a political approach. Oh, look who's next. Mr. Fryer. On that note.
Very professional. I have a statement to read. Robert Fryer, 33 Chestnut Lane, Woodbury, New York. Mr. Appointed Supervisor and members of the board, both appointed and elected, today's meeting should not be happening as one of the busiest vacation weeks of the year. At least one board member is absent, along with the town clerk, along with other important town officials. Last week at the August 15th scheduled town board meeting, you, Mr. Supervisor, tried to push through a contract with Winter Brothers that was done in anything but a transparent way. On July 17th, the town posted one page of a 400-page RFP asking for proposals for single-stream recycling. The respondents were given 10 days, including the day it was posted, to respond. Some businesses were sent the RFP by the town without requesting it. In other words, they were invited to bid. Other interested firms would have to come to Town Hall and physically pick up this 400-page plus RFP. Why wasn't the entire bid on the website? Is 10 business days a reasonable enough time to respond in a complete and thorough way? Or was this bid purposely set up for one vendor to win? While single-stream recycling may be the greatest thing for the town, how does anyone know for sure? The transparent way would have been to hold a hearing, discuss the benefits or lack thereof of single-stream recycling versus dual-stream recycling. Also, the fact that the current recycling trucks are designed for dual-stream and what the implications would be. There should have been a request for qualifications first. As part of the hearing, the interested vendors could have presented their capabilities and provided their expert opinions on what the supervisor decided to do without any public input. That would have been transparent. Why did you rush this through? What was the reason?
We didn't want to rush
I'm
it
still
through.
talking.
As a matter of fact,
Now
sir,
you add two
we
significant
put it off
items.
for another
Now you
week.
add two significant items
The
to the
decision
agenda.
makers could get
Oh my
even
God,
more
you're interrupting me
information.
during my time. You can comment when I'm
You
done
don't have to
talking.
bring God into this, sir. This is about science,
No,
and the
just
fact
be
is,
respectful and let me speak, and then you can
Science.
speak.
the science is very clear,
Don't-
Mr. Fryer.
Then don't count my
And you're-
time
and
while
you're
you're
grandstanding.
pontificating.
Did you even do any research to look into this subject?
Yes, I
It
did.
doesn't appear that way from your
Let me
statement.
finish my
You know,
statement.
sir,
Let me
this is
finish
the
my
epitome
statement.
of hypocrisy
Let me finish my
and
statement.
grandstanding.
Let me finish my statement. Now you add two significant items to the agenda with less than 24 hours notice to the public and this board. After an exhaustive search for a town controller, you decided to put this on the agenda today, during one of the busiest vacation weeks of the year, and when you
recycling,
knew
sir.
you wouldn't have a complete board to vote. And after this exhaustive search, it turns out that the person you were looking for all this time lives right next door to Deputy Supervisor Carmen. Who knew? How many resumes did you receive? Did the board have time to review resumes of prospective candidates and be part of the interview process? Also,
This has
a resolution,
nothing to do, Mr.
also,
Fryer.
a resolution
Perennial
regarding,
candidate just can't stop.
also,
You're really
you added
rather
a resolution
amazing.
to the property
This
on
is
Angle
on
Street.
single
This
street
property was a single part
recycling,
of why
Mr.
so
Fryer.
many people were indicted.
Once again,
just
you're
over
out
a
of
month
order.
ago, including the town
Bringing up
employee
subterfuge
and former supervisor,
political
John Benjito,
issues
who you previously
as a
ran
process
operations
for your own
Why
political
couldn't- Why couldn't
campaign
these
as
items
the
have been
perennial
discussed
candidate,
and
Mr.
voted on
Fryer.
a regular
You're out of order.
board meeting? When you
This has
like
nothing
use
to do
word
with the
transparency,
resolution.
It is in nearly every sentence.
And
I would like to add
you would like to
while I
add
may-
about a lot of things,
that
but you're
while
not
I may be
interested
an
in
opposing
speaking
candidate,
about
I'm a
the
taxpaying
issue at
resident,
hand.
just like anyone
The
else.
issue at hand,
For
which
you
is
to
what
walk
we're
out when I am
discussing.
speaking during public comment, the last two meetings, shows a complete lack of respect.
So does
your last
respect from someone who has lied
On your own time,
continuously
Mr. Appointed
for their own
Supervisor.
political
You should
gain.
listen to people you supposedly
Really the
represent.
height of
I would
hypocrisy,
also
Mr. Fryer.
appreciate answers to the questions I asked at meetings on the record. You said you were going to get back to me. Now you will bring
Thank
up
you,
all your
Mr.
experts
Fryer.
and cross-examine them as an attorney would do, even though you are not an attorney.
Thank
In
you,
my
Mr.
humble opinion,
Fryer.
and I
That's
believe
your
in the
time.
opinion of
Your
the
time is
residents
up,
of the
sir.
town of Oyster Bay,
Sir, your time is up.
a
No
new
more
good in Oyster
grandstanding.
Bay, and
No more
transparency
grandstanding.
is
Sorry,
simply
Mr.
a fraud. This is the old way in Oyster Bay.
Well, quite frankly, the previous speaker, the perennial candidate for public office, has done a lot of lying, but you've sunk to an all-time low, sir. By not talking about the issue at hand, by holding press conferences and creating subterfuge, we've got the best deal of any municipality in New York State. We put it off another week for more information, to have more time, to look more carefully at this.
Record
But
speaks
you
for
just
itself.
don't want good news in the town of Oyster Bay. Quite frankly, it's sickening, the fact that you'd like the town to fail for your own political
Those are your
purposes. This is the epitome of hypocrisy and political grandstanding on your part, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Our next speaker is Anthony Core. Good morning, Mr. Core.
Good morning, Mr. Supervisor.
How are you today, sir?
Good morning, members of the board. I had comments to make, but I'm going to limit myself. One, I've been a practitioner in this field for decades. I will tell you that single stream will increase the amount of recycling. But let me tell you what the major component would be. About 13 years ago, I failed in my bid to win the newspaper contract in the town of Oyster Bay. And at that time, I addressed the then supervisor and the then town board. And I explained to them that residential cardboard had not been added to the newspaper. Something that the towns that I service as newspaper vendor, I did approximately 20 years ago. Today, that cardboard accounts for 33% of the total fiber volume. In the years that the town did not listen to me, notably 13 years ago, millions of dollars of revenue were lost. The board talked about the advent of residential cardboard as something earth-shattering and groundbreaking. It had not been. 20 years is a long time. But I wasn't listened to 13 years ago. And there is no other agenda than trying to do the job that we need to do as well as we could do it. All of the other comments I have, but one I will dispense with, and I pared it down enough. But I will tell you this, and probably what's most troubling and illustrated in yesterday's News Day is, sorry, News 12. Yesterday's News Day was interesting, not for the recycling article, but the one next door, which talks about on the same page the vote set for $1.2 million in tax aid through the Glen Cove IDA. All across Long Island, IDAs, both county and towns, industrial development agencies have worked hard to give tax breaks, which are taxpayer money, to keep and attract good jobs in our area and keep and attract good businesses. It's not easy to stay in business on Long Island with a high property tax, and as you can imagine, higher on commercial and residential. Payroll taxes, the MTA taxes, workers' comp, recent increases in the state mandated minimum wage and the state family leave act. And elected officials like you are working hard to keep our community well employed. But something that I think we've missed in this is that 2 out of the 3 bidders are Connecticut companies. And those 2 companies, the highest and the lowest, are bringing the material to be processed in the state of Connecticut. Now, my company, On the Recycling, has served the town in their commingled needs when they needed it the most, when there wasn't anyone to do it. In fact, if you look at the bid back in February of 2016, the Winter Brothers Company bid $60 a ton for your commingled charge. And we were significantly lower, and we've done our job. But what's important is that the job we do is being done by men and women on Long Island. Newspaper was wrong. I'm not a Babylon-based company. On the Recycling of Westbury is a Westbury, Long Island company, employing men and women in Nassau County, living in this town. The general manager is a resident. I'm a resident. 30 years ago, we put millions of dollars towards a commingled plant, and it was the first program started in the nation, in the town of Hempstead, in 1988. The reason why we bid West End is the new company to do the new infrastructure for Nassau County, the new development of a better and more sophisticated state-of-the-art facility. But by doing this contract, you almost eliminate Oyster Bay's material from that consideration. And these plants are like, I don't know, best example is a livery car. If you, Mr. Supervisor, need me to bring 8 people around for you, I need an SUV. If it's only 2, I need a town car. And if I buy the town car, I can't fit 8 people in. That's what these, may I continue?
Sure.
That's what these facilities are. So there's an opportunity here. It is a great, great, great deal. And my plea was to look at it more closely. Now, you did have a time
Which we have done, just for clarification.
I understand that, Mr.
Which we have done.
But when you have a resident like me who's been in this business for 3 decades and is the noted expert with regard to the field, the fact that I've asked to be interviewed on this and have not been interviewed does not seem to me to be a worthwhile inquiry by the
But just
town.
for clarification, you were one of the bidders.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the
I
Winter
was the
Brothers
second
bid was
most
higher.
favorable.
That's right.
But now you brought that point up, I was going to dispense with that. One of the things in my bid was directly delivering to our facility in Westbury. With the issue with the Robbins Lane property, limited space at the Bethpage landfill, eliminating recycling trucks, single stream or dual, going to Bethpage eliminates traffic and eliminates the need for the town to load, weigh, scale, stage this equipment, okay? There is a benefit to that, okay? A quantifiable dollar benefit. And if that benefit, let's say for argument's sake, was worth $20 of savings to the town, then my offer of 10 to deliver it to me is a $30 number, which makes it even better for the town to consider. I don't think that that was considered properly. In your time frame, it could not have been considered properly. Now, granted, and I heard what happened at last week's meeting, and I appreciate the time that you gave Mr. Slover. You're under a time constraint. And the time constraint is you need to cancel my contract in 60 days, you need to cancel Jovi's contract in 60 days so you can begin reaping the revenues of single stream. I sent a letter last week and I proposed reducing, Omni Recycling reducing that cancellation period. If you were to cancel right now, that cancellation date would be approximately October 21st. Okay, so if I offered to make it a 10-day cancellation, no earlier than October 21st, that gives you 2 months to further investigate what's going on without any financial harm to the town. Because as a taxpayer, I don't want to harm the town financially. But I want to give you the proper time, and not a 4-week period, but the proper time to ask the right questions. You're limited if you don't have the people that can ask the questions. Obviously, you have to find out the answers.
We do. And they have been asking the questions, and our commissioner of DPW that oversees sanitation and recycling is an engineer and is very highly experienced at all of this. And we have been pursuing this, and quite frankly, the company that we're considering today has many residents that do live in the town of Oyster Bay. And in terms of taking materials out of state, for years and years, the town's garbage has been collected and taken out of state. So that's not something that's particularly new to the town. And quite frankly, we all have looked at the material, and Councilman McEnone revisited it in a very intensive program to ensure that we got this right.
But Mr. Corr, I think it could go based on the bids we received. And that's the only thing I investigated on. Not, that's the numbers I went.
Well, Councilman, what's interesting, if truly we were talking about some facts, City Carding, the company that proposed to charge you $10 a ton, their facility is built by the same company that built New York City's facility for $100 million. They are roughly an hour in transportation closer, and the technology there is very sophisticated. The question that Councilman McEnone had last time, Supervisor, was how could they be at a -10 and Winter Brothers be at a +25? My issue here today is that unless it was predetermined, you gave yourself a 4-week window. 13 years ago, when the town looked at contracting, not a change of program, not developing a recycling program, when they looked at just changing a vendor, the bid was in June. The final town board vote was in December, and I may take issue with their result, and as a Monday morning quarterback, I can tell you it was wrong, because at that time, we didn't add residential cardboard, but they at least took the time. You have a predetermined...
What you just told us, sir, is they took all that time, and what I believe you just inferred, they didn't get it right.
Yeah.
So they took all that time, and in your opinion, they didn't get that right.
But, Saladino, there's a process.
Okay.
And when you deal with a changeover like this, when you deal with a process like this, the creation of a bid, 2 weeks later a response, 2 weeks later a proposed award, is a 4-week period. We're on week 5. You're preordained to be under the gun because in your mind you set the revenue to be something you want in mid to late October. I'm telling you here...
We did a bid process, and we're receiving...
You can get the time if you want it.
We have a highest bidder here, sir.
You can have the time if you want it. Speaking about the higher bidder, there's a lot of language in the contract with regard to prevailing wage, right? New York State prevailing wage. If the material is going to Connecticut, right, how does that work and how does that reconcile? Your point about your garbage. We don't have municipal solid waste landfills on Long Island. Landfill waste has to be shipped out of state, but the processing of recycling does not. What about the secret concerns? You're changing a program. You're adding trucking. It's more complicated than you may think. You were under a gun, and I gave you your answer. You can have the time you need. All you have to do is ask me, which I will equivocate and give you the time you need on cancellation. And in fact, and I don't have a relationship with Jovi, and the board should be clear, I am not part of that recent Jovi lawsuit. Yeah, I may be in the same position as him, but I did not take part of the action to even consider that action. But I'm sure, and I don't have a relationship with them, but I talked recently to one of their financial people, and I explained to them the professional approach to the town is to give them time. If the town is going to vote this contract and make a determination and cancel you, your contract is over. Give them the time they need so they can properly investigate. And a proper investigation is an interview of possibly all 3 and see what everyone has to say. Not just one, but everyone. A vote today, in my opinion...
Mr. Core,
may I finish?
We're way over.
And I appreciate the time you gave me.
But
a vote
today
is an award knowing that you're exporting jobs. We're trying to get the IDA to bring jobs in. You're exporting Long Island jobs.
There's quite a bit of work.
I appreciate the time that you've given me. I appreciate the time that you afforded my colleague last week. And I'll bid you a good day, sir.
All right, thank you. And please know that this contract has 1-year renewals. So we'll have an opportunity to see how they perform.
In 1 year, with no expectations, a plant may be built that does not have capacity for you, in all likelihood.
Well, we'll know that soon, and that won't cost the taxpayers anything. In the meanwhile, we did a bid process, and they're the highest bidder.
Hopefully your decisions today have positive, and I wish you well that they have positive impacts on the town. But the only way to have positive impacts on the town for the residents and the jobs and the companies is to take the time. My offer of reducing my cancellation and my reaching out to Jovi's financial people to do the same, I think, Mr. Saladino, is a more prudent move. But, as you said, if you're satisfied with the presentation on the record of everything that Mr. Bergen and Mr. Lenz said last week, then that's the information and the evidence that you are solely relying on. You should look further. Thank you.
Mr. Core, just before you sit down, I have one question for you. You said that you thought that the Winter Brothers bid was a great deal for the town. Do you still think that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Mr. McEnon, in inquiring further about the resolve of Winter Brothers with regard to, because it is a year and 3-month contract, true, but it has extensions. You know, when you talk about your commitment to a company, you have no commitment at this moment to Winter Brothers. There's no agreement with them, and only an agreement can be made when this town board votes and a contract is entered into. You do have commitments to Jovi, and you do have commitments to Omni. But when you look at the time period, and there needed to be a lot of work before this ever became public on bid, I think it's prudent for the town to investigate. You have to investigate the people as well, the companies, and what their service has been, and what their resolve has been to our community. No one can doubt my company's resolve.
To alleviate your concerns, we have done that.
Right. And
both yourself and your representative last week both said this is a great deal.
Right. And your resolve is that you're completely satisfied with what's done, even though you do have the opportunity to not lose a dollar, but to investigate further.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Should be pointed out for the record that we have fully investigated this situation. The Winter Brothers Company is the highest bidder. We have, town employees have had phone calls to listen to everyone involved, including Mr. Court, and we heard from his representative last week as well. To close, we have Mr. Will Flower of Bayville, a resident of the town of Oyster Bay.
Mr. Supervisor and members of the board, thank you very much. My name is Will Flower from 16 East Slope Road, in Bayville, lifelong resident of the town of Oyster Bay. It's no surprise to me that the current contractors want to keep their lucrative deals. Sadly, their actions are, in a word, self-serving. They benefit no one except for themselves. The current contractor, one of the current contractors, rushed into court several times in an attempt to preserve the deals that are great for them, but not a good deal for the residents of Oyster Bay. The Winters Brothers deal is a great deal for the environment due to more recycling, and also an excellent deal for the taxpayers in the town of Oyster Bay.
Excuse me, Mr. Flower?
Yes.
You work for Winter Brothers, don't you?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Also a great deal for the taxpayers in the town of Oyster Bay due to the significant financial benefits. And I do want to point out that I have 34 years of experience in the waste industry, working across the United States and working also with single-stream programs throughout the entire nation. Here are the facts. The town of Oyster Bay made a very wise decision to upgrade its recycling service for residents. The new program is called single-stream recycling, and single-stream is not new. As a matter of fact, Newsday itself published an editorial on December 20th, 2014, entitled "How Long Island Can Do Better at Recycling," written by the editorial board. This specifically says that municipalities should look at single-stream recycling. The program that you asked for was competitively bid, and there were 3 bidders that submitted the proposals. Winters Brothers submitted the best proposal in response to the town's request for bid. The Winters Brothers proposal was significantly better than any of the other proposals. The new program represents a significant cost savings as well as new revenue for the town. Instead of paying to get rid of recyclables, which you're currently doing, the town will receive money for every ton that is recycled. Winters Brothers already serves the town. You know us. We operate the town, one of the town's largest service contracts, which is DPW 99-099, which is for the management of solid waste. We have a proven record of performance with you. Winters Brothers is the largest recycler on Long Island and in Connecticut. We will utilize our state-of-the-art recycling center located in Shelton, Connecticut, to process the town's recyclables. This facility is a perfect match for the town of Oyster Bay. It's the most advanced single-stream processing plant on the East Coast. We have and we will continue to improve the technology at our recycling center to effectively manage your recyclable material. On top of that, the town is protected with a performance bond. If we don't perform, Winters Brothers is required to post a $125,000 performance bond once the contract is signed. Winters Brothers has a great amount of experience with single-stream recycling, and we provided the best bid to the town. The bottom line is that Winters Brothers has a history of providing municipalities with viable and affordable alternatives for the management of solid waste and recyclables, and the town should act in the best interest of the residents and award the bid to us. With that said, I just want to clarify also that the recyclables that are processed currently all go off of Long Island. They're not processed here. They go to Beacon, New York to be processed, which is where your commingled goes. And I don't know where the paper goes, but it certainly isn't processed here in Long Island.
Do you realize that your performance bond for $125,000 is roughly 5,000 tons of garbage, that's it? So we're really not protected.
You are protected. You absolutely are protected. And that's why you asked for it in the contract, because it was a well-written request for bid.
$1 million, I feel would be protected.
Well, there are millions of dollars when it comes to the municipal solid waste.
But $125,000 for this is not really protecting us if something falls apart.
Well, if you want to ask for more, you can ask for more in a bid document, but this is what you asked for. I think this is very significant. On top of that, look at our record, right? Right now, you are paying for recyclables. You understand that? You're paying $7 and change for every ton that you recycle. You're paying money for a commodity. They want to continue for you to pay them. Doesn't make any sense when we're offering to pay you. Do what's right for the taxpayers. Do what's right for the environment. Commissioner Bergen has pushed single-stream recycling for years and years. It's a good deal, and it's a deal whose time has come, and it should come to the town of Oyster Bay now.
Sir, one question from me. Do you have town of Oyster Bay employees, rather town of Oyster Bay residents in your employment now?
We do, and first of all, we are a Long Island-based company. We were started in Nassau County, in the city of Glencoe back in the 1950s. So our headquarters right now are right here.
If you get this contract, will you be in need of hiring more people?
We do. We need to hire drivers.
Will you hire town of Oyster Bay residents would you look to make a priority of hiring town of Oyster Bay residents?
We always do that. We have facilities in Nassau County. We have we operate your facility for you in Bethpage and employ local residents to do that, and we will continue to make an effort to employ local residents.
Thank you.
Mr. Flower, I have a question. Do your employees get paid New York State prevailing wage?
They do.
Okay.
And I should qualify that. In facilities like the town of Oyster Bay facility, where it's required, at some of our other facilities, they do not, which are transfer stations that are not on publicly served properties.
Any other questions?
I have a question for the Winter Brothers rep, which
Thank
is
you,
germane
sir.
to the situation,
Thank
if you'll
you.
accept it. It's a serious question, germane to the issue, if
There
you'll
are
accept
no
it.
other questions from the board?
Supervisor, I just want to make a comment or
Yes.
make an amendment on the resolution. Since we delayed the vote for about a week, I want to amend the resolution so that the new contract becomes effective October 23rd, 2017, a week later.
I'd ask again the question, the Winter
Okay, we have a
Brothers,
second
Winter
to
Brothers
that
rep,
motion.
please.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So we have a motion on the issue at hand?
Okay, Supervisor, may I have a motion to adopt resolution number 520?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Muscarella, seconded by Councilman Macagnon. On the vote, Supervisor Saladino.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella,
Aye.
Councilman Macagnon.
Based on the bids I received, aye.
Councilwoman Alicia is absent. Councilwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Imbroda.
I vote aye. I think this is going to be a big step forward for the town. It's going to allow us to make money on our recyclables while protecting the environment. It's a win-win, so I vote aye.
Councilman Hand.
Aye.
Supervisor, motion to adopt resolution number 520 passes with 6 ayes.
Thank you. May I have a motion to close the meeting and move to the special meeting of August 22nd?
Supervisor, I make a motion to close the meeting and move to the special meeting that was asked by you and advertised on August 17th, public notice.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Okay, Supervisor, may I have a motion to suspend the rules and add resolutions number 528 and 529?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscarella, seconded by Councilman McInerney. On the vote, Supervisor Saladino.
Aye.
No speakers?
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilman McInerney.
No on 528, aye on 529.
Councilwoman Alicia is absent. Councilwoman Johnson.
I vote aye.
Councilman Broda.
Aye.
Councilman Ham.
Aye.
Motion passes with,
No speakers?
That's to just bring on the table, bring on the table.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you.
motion passes 6 ayes for 529, resolution 528, 5 ayes, 1 nay. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 528, 529? On the motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilman Muscarella, seconded by Councilman McInerney. On the vote, Supervisor Saladino.
We have some speakers for this. Mr. Fryer. I asked you to please keep
Fryer,
your
33
comments.
Chestnut Lane, Woodbury, New York.
Mr. Fryer, I asked you to keep your comments specifically to this resolution at hand.
These resolutions at hand. Okay, so I'll continue then with what I was not able to get out before. With no notice, and I believe no notice to this board until yesterday, less than 24 hours notice, and after an exhaustive search for a town controller, you decided to put this on the agenda today during one of the busiest vacation weeks of the year, when you know you wouldn't have a complete board to vote. After an exhaustive search, it turns out the person you were looking to hire for all this time is Greg Carmen's next door neighbor. What a stroke of luck. How many resumes did this board review before hiring a controller or before picking a controller? Did anyone on this board interview prospective candidates? I'd like to know what was the interview process. Secondly, the resolution regarding Engle Street.
This resolution is not called.
So have you tabled that resolution?
No, it's not been called yet.
We didn't call it. This is the Engle Street appraisal.
The resolution regarding Engle
528 or
Street.
529.
This property was a significant part of why so many people were indicted just over a month ago, including
No, this process was not.
this particular.
Property may have been,
That's
but
what I-
this is the process.
Everybody just said this resolution regarding the property,
The
okay?
process that we're doing now is not the reason anyone, and I see you rolling your eyes and accusing people of being unprofessional. This is a process to sell property to bring revenue for our taxpayers. You may be against bringing revenue to the taxpayers of the town of Oyster Bay. That may be your ideology, but our
Did I ever say that,
ideology is
Mr.
to
Appointed
honestly,
Supervisor?
yes.
I said
Our-
it. Can you tell
yes.
me, where did I say it?
Our ideology.
Where did I say it?
I'm not going to get into
gonna.
Well, no, you said I said it. Where and when did I say it? Before you start issuing lies, which you commonly do.
Mr. Fryer,
When
no
did I
one
say it?
has a cottage industry
No.
on untruths like you, sir.
You
Like
lie
you,
every
sir.
day,
No.
every single day with your daily press conference promoting yourself.
Absolutely not.
You are probably the most narcissistic, self-promoting
Is this
politician
really
I've
where
ever
you're going
seen.
with this? Is this
You're not
really
letting me read my
This
statement.
is a
You're saying lies that I
childish-
said.
childish
Subterfuge
name
again,
calling?
right?
Childish
You know what it
name
even
calling,
means?
Mr. Fryer, is
You know the
not going
definition of the word?
to help you.
Can I finish now?
The point is, there is nothing illegal about this process, and I know you're grandstanding today.
No, you're grandstanding right now.
That's quite the opposite.
No, you are.
You're not going to call this an illegal process, because it's not.
Thank you.
This is a process
Can I
to
finish?
sell a piece of property to enhance revenue to the taxpayers.
I've never said I'm against enhancing revenue to the taxpayer, despite
Well,
your
that's the
lie
impression that
I
you
said.
give.
Oh, now it's an impression. Before, just now, you said it was. I've said it. So what is it, Mr. Appointed Supervisor? Is it something I said, or is it an impression?
Well, your track
Clarify
record
your
on the
remarks.
truth has been very poor.
Well, please, you should not talk about one who speaks the truth, because you rarely speak the truth, sir.
I've been very honest.
I think the
Can
residents
you
of
please
Oyster Bay
begin?
know that. Can I finish now, without interruptions? Thank you. You added a resolution today regarding the property at Engle Street. This property was a significant part of why so many people were indicted just over a month ago, including a current town employee and the former supervisor, John Venditto, who you previously ran operations for.
Mr. Fryer, we are trying to get an appraisal for a piece of property. You're trying to make a tremendous,
for today? Why couldn't you have
to
it at the
get
next
an
meeting?
appraisal.
Why couldn't you have it at the next
I'm
meeting?
answering your question.
Why?
We are putting this on the agenda to get an appraisal for a piece of
I'm
property.
aware of what it is. I
Not
read it.
what-
I have
your
all the
comments
documentation
make it seem like
right
you're
here.
lost in the woods.
No.
Or that you're grandstanding politically.
Okay.
Either you're for or getting an appraisal for this property, or you're not.
I am.
Are you for?
Why?
Because I'm not clear.
Why couldn't this agenda item be brought up at a regularly scheduled board meeting? Today's meeting was
This
supposed
is an
to be.
appraisal for
This
a piece
meeting
of property.
was supposed to
Nothing
be
more,
just for
nothing
single stream
less.
recycling. Why are you suddenly adding these additional
To get an
resolutions?
appraisal, I'm answering your question. To get an
And so
appraisal
why couldn't that
for a
be
piece
with
of
proper
property.
notice to the residents, proper notice to the board? Why couldn't that be at
Anything
a
else for
regularly
us,
scheduled
because
meeting?
You're
Can you answer the
against
question?
getting an appraisal, I understand that.
No,
You're clearly
again, you're
against
lying
it.
once again, sir. I'm asking you a
You're
question.
coming up to
You're
what we're-
lying once again. I said,
Mr.
why
Fryer.
couldn't you do this at a regularly scheduled meeting? Answer that question.
It was properly advertised, okay, it's a special meeting. Supervisor.
Special meeting to
At any
continue.
time, you can call a special meeting.
When did
Call a
you,
special meeting.
Councilman Muscarella, when were you made aware of these additions to the board, to the resolution?
Business of the town.
When were you made aware to this
We are
addition to the resolution?
continuing to take care of the business of the town. This is to get an appraisal. So if you're coming up to fight that, that means you're against an appraisal.
Okay.
So we're clear on that. We're also clear that your time is up.
Have a great day.
Mr. Ripp, on an appraisal for the piece of property on Maple Street
And maybe you lose this one.
and the Bluefish tournament. Yes.
Hi, my name is Robert Ripper from 77 Sunset Road, Massapequa, New York, 1758. I'm a little confused when the board is voting on these resolutions today. It's very confusing. You apparently called a special meeting, but yet you only added these resolutions in the draft material this morning. So that kind of confuses me. It makes me think you might have called the meeting for something else. But I don't understand why you're voting on this when you got a inter-office memo from Councilwoman Alicia that specifically asked you not to add.
That's incorrect, sir. She has not asked us not to get an
Why don't we clarify it? I'll
appraisal
read it.
for this
With the
piece of
appointment of
property.
Supervisor Saladino I accepted at face value his commitment to transparency and open government.
Which we're
I have been
delivering.
working on accomplishing this for years, and for example, have put pressure on the previous administration to implement the live stream of the town board meetings, to publish more of the backup items on resolutions prior to the meetings, and to revamp our ethics codes. These were accomplishments of which I remain proud and was enthusiastic about your administration's commitment to making government more accessible to the residents. Instead of moving forward, I now feel that we were moving in the wrong direction. This meeting that has been scheduled for Tuesday, August 22nd, 2017, which is not a regularly scheduled meeting of the town board, should be properly limited to the sole item left on the agenda from last week's meeting, and not be used to bootstrap on additional items, particularly adding a resolution for the purposes of appointing your next door neighbor as comptroller. And when you are fully aware that I will be unable to attend, it's unacceptable. It's not enough just to talk about transparency. I ask that you discuss this with Supervisor Saladino, and I find it very strange that he would direct you to undertake this action in direct contradiction of his stated policies of having open and transparent government with resident input.
Are you for the appraisal
specific
or
controller
against the
candidate,
appraisal?
and there is no doubt he is well qualified.
This is not about a controller. Once again, you're out of order.
What process was used in order to assign available candidates?
Statements, Mr. Rep.
Was there a proper search done? Was there any advertising done? These are all valid questions. Mr. Saladino, this is not about who or many or when or what who you might hire to be the controller. This is about a councilwoman asking the board not to add additional items to the agenda, and you ignoring it. That's the truth.
Okay, you've spoken on that already, so then you don't have to come up a second time. That's great.
I can come up as many times as I'm allowed.
Actually, you've already spoken on the controller issue.
You knew about this on August 18th as is disposed in the councilwoman's correspondence or to Rome's memo, then you're violating the open meetings law because you haven't disclosed anything about adding any of these
appraisal.
So
or
continue the way you will,
appraisal.
and maybe you'll violate the open meeting law again, which, by the way, I hope everybody knows, you've appealed the court's decision to attend remedial training. You're not going to remedial open law training. You're fighting against
Mr. Rip, Mr. Rip.
Now, as far as the resolution with Eagle Street,
Mr. Rip. You're here to speak on these
if you allow me to speak, so I'll interrupt me.
Sir, you're ranting, and we really don't know where you're coming from.
I proposed to Mr. McEnroe a number of weeks ago that we could possibly use the Eagle Street property to solve some of the parking in the Hicksville parking garage. So I don't have an issue with you seeking an appraisal to sell the property. Matter of fact, there are a number of other properties I think we should be selling, like the Lidauer estate. But please take into consideration, I don't think it would be, I think it would probably be cost effective. I don't think it would cost that much. I'm not an expert. But if we were to put some sort of blacktop in that lot, even just temporary, and even run a shuttle service maybe, it would really help out with the parking condition with the Hicksville train station. You know, I tried to raise the issue, but you walked out on me when I tried to speak to you about it, Mr. Saladino. So I'll bring it to your attention again, and it's my professional opinion, or my personal opinion, that if a council person is asking you not to add resolutions, I think you should take it into consideration. And thank you very much.
Mr. Rip, your idea about parking is not really a bad idea. With the work that's going to be coming with the third track and the new parking structure on the property in Hicksville, that might be an alternative we should look at.
Thank you, Mr. McEnroe. Oh,
Matt, would you please join us at the podium, members A? Just to clarify, because these dust-ups create confusion for the residents, which is really a shame, all the politics. But let's clear the air so that we can get to what these are. Just please rephrase these resolutions so the public understands exactly what we're voting on.
Certainly, although there will be a separate motion to add all of the resolutions that are on the calendar so that they're before the board. There's a resolution to seek an appraisal of the 50 Engle Street property. That really gets the ball rolling so that we can consider options to sell the property and generate revenue for the town, at least on that one sale.
And Matt, why don't we do an RFP then?
We're not at the point yet. We need to know what the value would be. That will be a decision that comes down the line. Is it an RFP or is it a competitive bid?
Thank you.
Okay. We have a bluefish, I believe there's a bluefish tournament and Marine Expo resolution. That's, I suppose, a
Waterfront Festival.
Yes, right. And I suppose that's an educational type event for the benefit of town residents as to our marine resources, environmental concerns, and conservation activities. There's a personnel resolution that will come before the board. That's for the comptroller's position. which I think that we all agree is needed in this town, so that we can have a full-time professional accountant in place.
That's not on the calendar.
It will be coming. There's going to be a
You're
motion.
violating the open meetings law. You can't just add it now.
Mr. Rosé, were these things properly noticed?
Oh, this entire special meeting was properly noticed in accordance with the open meetings law. It's a special meeting. It's not a regularly scheduled meeting. And the supervisor requested the meeting, and public notice was given to the media. It was posted on the town's website, and additionally, it was posted on the town's bulletin board, all in accord with the provisions of the open meetings law.
Wasn't there a previous appraisal on this property?
Any other questions for Mr. Rosé? Thank you, sir.
They're insinuating they're going to add this other resolution.
Okay. Go ahead, please proceed.
Supervisor, I'm going to add from the table, Resolution 507.
Do we have correspondence on any of these?
Well, why don't we vote on the ones we're debating right
Why
now?
don't we do these two and we'll untable that and add it?
Yeah, that's a very wise decision.
Well, just before we do that, the personnel resolution is on the calendar, so the suspend items are now on the calendar. You can take those three. If you want to approach 507 separately, you can do that as well.
That's on the record, right, Matt? You're on the record saying that? You should be.
Can we have some order here, please?
Okay, Supervisor, may I have a motion to adopt resolutions P 2017, PA 1417, 528 2017, 529 2017?
So moved.
Excuse me a second. What is PA 1417? I don't have that.
That's them hiring
Resolutions
resolutions.
pertaining to the personnel of various departments within the town of Oyster Bay.
Subterfuge.
Okay. For a motion to adopt PA 2017. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt PA 14.
You can't make a motion. It's against the law. He's the clerk.
May I have?
We'll learn how to run the meeting.
Mr. Rip, he's asking for a motion.
You just said, I'd like to make a motion. You
You're
can't
going
do
to
that.
have to control yourself. I know it's
Run your
difficult,
meeting under the law.
but I ask you to
Okay.
please
I'd like to
control
make a
yourself
motion.
in this public forum.
To call for resolution P 2017, PA 1417, 528 2017, 529 2017, for a vote.
So moved.
Second, but I still don't have PA 14. I don't see it here.
The clerk can't call for a motion. That's in violation of open meetings law.
No, I don't.
And it's on the
Okay,
record.
motion made by,
Okay, thank you. I have the supervisor's copy, thank you.
okay, motion made by Councilman Muscarella, seconded by Councilman McInerney.
It's not what the
On the
record's gonna
vote.
read.
Supervisor Saladino?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Councilman McInerney?
Aye on P 2017. I have to stick with Councilman Alessi. This should not come up today on PA 1417. I vote no. I think it's a shame that we're voting on this. No on Resolution 528. Aye on Resolution 529.
Okay, Councilwoman Alicia is absent. Councilwoman Johnson? Councilman Imbrodo?
I vote aye as well.
Councilman Ham?
Aye.
Motion passes with 6 ayes on P 2017, PA 1417, 528, and 529. 7 ayes on P 2017.
Excuse me.
No comment on the personnel resolution?
No, that's how they roll. Transparency.
5.
Okay.
Lies and subterfuge.
Okay, on the vote, Supervisor Saladino.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilman Macagnon.
Sorry.
What are we voting on now, sir?
P 2017, PA 1417,
The last motion was to add it to the calendar, so everything was in front of you with the exception of
528, and 529.
Okay. Once again, aye on P20, no on PA-14, no on 528, aye on 529.
Okay. Councilwoman Johnson.
I vote aye.
Councilman Brodo.
I vote aye.
Councilman Ham.
Aye.
Motion passes with 6 ayes on PA 1417, P 2017, 528, 529. 7 ayes, I'm sorry, 7 ayes on 2017.
That's it.
6 ayes, I'm sorry.
Take a motion.
5 ayes on PA 1417, 1 nay. 5 ayes on 528, 1 nay. And 6 ayes on 529.
Thank you. So the motion carries. I'd like to spend a moment speaking about Stephen Ballas. All levels of government need a healthy balance of individuals with private sector experience and those with public sector experience. I have sought to balance this administration and have hired people from the private sector as well as from the public sector to create this balance. Today we have considered an individual from the private sector for the very important position of town controller, a position that quite frankly the public has asked us, even people speaking today have asked us to fill. We need a controller who can provide more than just the daily accounting of operations and oversight, as well as someone who will work with me and work with our administration to ensure that we continue to protect taxpayers' wallets and to deliver a no property tax increase in the budget for 2018. We require strong internal financial controls with regard to both the budget and the regulatory oversight. And that includes monitoring and controlling cash flow, developing and strengthening financial policies and procedures, enhancing our financial reporting systems, overseeing payroll, internal controls, accounts receivable, and accounts payable, completing audits and financial compliance activities, and monitoring our debt and credit, and accomplishing all this in a very transparent manner. The accounting firm of AVZ managed the search and conducted interviews and assessments with 13 applicants, including the candidate that we consider today. This took place back in June, and AVZ interviewed this candidate and found them to have the experience to do this job. The candidate does have vast experience, making him highly qualified for this position. He has 35 years of experience in corporate accounting, and his background includes 17 years as a CFO of Scott Cable Communications, 4 years as a controller of global investment finance at Citigroup, and prior experience at Citigroup, which includes accounting, forecasting, and analysis. Mr. Ballas is a certified public accountant and a political outsider. This individual can bring this private sector experience to town government with a fresh, new perspective for the town of Oyster Bay. Additionally, we have the ability to hire him at a pay rate that is $27,000 less than what the town was paying the previous controller. Again, this is a savings for taxpayers and a bargain, quite frankly, for the town to bring in a real accountant, a CPA with private sector experience at a public sector salary. Very appreciative to my town board colleagues for recognizing this and getting someone hired, at least for these next 4 months, that we can depend on, that is non-political, that is outside of the political process, and that has a tremendously vast and wide scope of experience. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor.
Please proceed.
May I have a motion to remove Resolution 507 from the table, which was tabled on 8/15/2017? On the motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Muscarella, seconded by Councilman McInerney. On the vote, Supervisor Saladino.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilman McInerney.
Aye.
Councilwoman Alicia is absent. Councilwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Imbroda.
Aye.
Councilman Han.
Aye.
Motion to remove resolution number 507 from the table passes with 6 ayes. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 507?
No speakers?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Muscarella, seconded by Councilman McInerney. Speakers?
How can you not have speakers?
Do we, we're going to start off by asking Commissioner Lenz to step forward, please.
Eagles parade that I mentioned.
Hello.
Hi, how are you, Commissioner? Can you speak to us about this resolution?
507, yes.
Correct.
What it is I had been talking to you previously about using Harani and FTC for the garage structural. We're also investigating and found that there's other issues in the garage. One of them being the HVAC system. There is none in the stairwells. So what's happening is it's more or less dead air in there, meaning that the only time it gets fresh air is when the doors are open and closed. So I want to change that.
Meaning that there's heat, humidity, there's condensation, there's
Exactly.
more problems.
Exactly, right, with a lot of dew coming in. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Also, the carbon monoxide, well, first of all, let me back up. The electric, all the electric in the facility to make it look nice, you know, when you're looking up, is all in the concrete. So now that the concrete is cracking, some of my electric lines are cracking, and therefore I'm losing lights, I'm losing carbon monoxide detections, but they're being repaired, so I don't want anybody to think that they're not. But what I'm saying is I want to have a proper system once we get finished with the garage. So you'll have
You basically want to have a raceway running along the road.
exactly, like you would normally do in most facilities of this nature. Also, fire protection, we are re-looking at the fire protection. What happens is, just like your fire detector in your house, it has to be, the batteries have to be replaced and stuff like that. What's happening with the fire protection is there's a dryer system that goes in to make sure that it's reading properly. That gets, again, too moist, like the councilman said. So that's going to be replaced. So this is to have Lizardos do all the design documents, bid and for bid. So that would be the drawings and the specifications, and they're going to give us AutoCAD documents. And this will run concurrently with what we're having Harani do. So we'll put it out to one bid for the whole contract. And the schedule that we're looking to do is around October. We're looking to bid these documents in around October. Now, the reason why we want to do that is, first of all, I'm just getting approval now for Lazanos to do the design. So that's going to take about a month to do, or two. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Commissioner, my concern, and one of the reasons I voted to take this off the table, is time's of the essence. Because
Yes.
once we get to November,
Yes.
in October, we get below 50 degrees.
Right,
And anytime you deal with concrete below 50 degrees, as we all know, we have problems.
right.
So,
So,
putting it off that long might not look good.
I understand. So I should say, we're looking to bid as soon as possible, the end of September. As I say, because I'm just getting the approval now, if the council, all the council people so approve this. And then we'll turn everything around as soon as we possibly can. Any other questions or anything? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Do we
Supervisor.
have any other questions from any of the, okay, are there
I have a question.
any speakers on this?
On the resolution also.
Mr. Fryer?
Robert Fryer, 33 Chestnut Lane, Woodbury, New York. Just one simple question from the table resolution from last week. Is this in the budget?
Mr. Lenz?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fryer? No? I'm sorry, Mr. Red.
Hello again, my name is Robert Ripp, 77 Sunset Road, Massapequa, New York. I'm a little confused because you have a lot of walk-ons that I'm not really sure what's going on. I just want to make sure I have this straight in my head. You just hired a new comptroller on the P 2017 or PA 1417? Is that what was done? 14? Did you have any comments or anything on that? Or did you have
Yes.
speakers on it?
You were one of those people. I heard you make comments about that.
Not on the P14
I
because
heard you make
there's no
comments
information
about the
How-
controller in this
Listen,
meeting.
I'll ask you one thing, Mr. Saladino. Do you think that you were really open, honest, and transparent in hiring this new comptroller?
Yes, and we proved it over and over again. We proved it through the process of the way in which we hired the concessionaires.
Has
We have
nothing to do
proved
with
that.
hiring this gentleman. Thank you for your answer.
You asked me a
In
question.
regards to
Thank you,
507,
Mr.
I have some time here.
Thank
In
you,
regards to
Mr.
507, I'd like to know how City Bond Rep Frank Antomaso stood here and told us all about 6 months ago that there was nothing wrong with the Hicksville garage except for routine maintenance. I objected to the town board approving final payment in a $300,000 contract there. Arani
That
has been
couldn't have been
involved.
6 months ago. It couldn't have
Arani
been.
has been
This is
involved
not
in the
true.
Hicksville garage since its inception. I'd like to know if we're now, because Mr. Antomaso has been indicted, and I understand we're supposed to be trying to recover damages on the garage. Are we going to try to recoup?
Through a lawsuit, sir.
Are we going to try to recoup the consultant fees that Mr. Antomaso and Sidney Baum were paid when they guaranteed us that there was nothing wrong with this garage except for routine maintenance? Thank you.
Are there any other speakers?
Commissioner Lenz, you said this is in the budget. If this is new work that we're just putting out, how is it in the budget?
What's happening is when we're going to have to use some of the highway budget that we would for
Yeah,
it's not in the budget.
be allocated.
No, they'll tell you
Yes,
anything.
I don't know where they're coming from, the peanut gallery, but it is in the budget. It's not, I don't know, the budgets are not, it should not, I gotta be honest, I haven't looked at it in a while, but it should not be line items. It's a capital expenditure, and there's capital money available for this, yes. And we will be going after the consultant fees.
Let me ask you something really important, something that really wasn't done. Upkeep and maintenance, so we're gonna start doing this now and keep a log of it and a record of it?
Since I came on, we have,
This
yes.
is prior to you, please.
Yes, no, I don't know, I haven't really researched too much into the prior, but I know since I've been here, we have been upkeep and maintenance. Matter of fact, we were there on Sunday because of so that we were involved in the residents, and we caulked all the areas that we possibly could. It took a full day to do that, and that was taken care of also. And then, as I say, every time that there's a light that goes down, we go in and repair it. If there's CO2 and...
What I'm talking about is
maintenance.
Upkeep,
Yes,
the maintenance, making sure that the blowers all work, and
yes,
everything else.
absolutely. That's been taken care of, yes.
Because I know it wasn't done in the past. and that
No,
could have been
but it
causing
has
some
now.
Problems.
Yes, it has now.
All right, thank you.
With that matter of fact,
I want to thank you and commend you for that.
thank you very much. Matter of fact, I just want to answer one question. Also, we have turned the blowers down from what they originally were, because they were on full, and we had to turn them down to a third, and they're still functioning the way they're supposed to.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner, isn't it true you and I have had many conversations as it relates to this garage?
Absolutely.
And
You
as
have been out to the site several times.
Right, and as a result of those conversations, you're doing daily inspections, daily,
Yes,
at the garage.
absolutely.
And
Yes.
ensuring that, at my direction, that we are doing everything possible to properly maintain and get this fixed and behind us.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, the other thing, just so everybody understands too, the reason we had Lizardos and also Harani do an initial investigation. After they completed their initial investigation, then we have now asking them to do the final design. So it just makes sense to continue with the gentleman that the engineering firms that you've already approved in the past.
And I'm familiar with this project already.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No to speak, Supervisor. So on the vote, Supervisor Saladino?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Councilman Macagnon?
To get this resolved and completed promptly, aye.
Councilwoman Alicia is absent. Councilwoman Johnson? Councilman Imbrodo?
Aye.
Councilman Han?
Aye.
Motion to adopt resolution number 507 passes with 6 ayes.
Thank you. I'd like to make a statement that this is all about doing what we told the public we would do when I took this office. Turn the town around, get the problems of the past fixed, and we are continuing to move forward to do just that while protecting our taxpayers. It's interesting that some of the people who complained that we weren't getting the garage done properly quick enough are now complaining as we put the steps in place to do just that. But we will continue to move forward and put the problems of the town of Oyster Bay behind us by fixing them in a way that is most responsible, transparent, and takes into account full respect of our taxpayers. And I'd like to thank the members of the board, all of the members of the board, for helping us to do just that. May I have a motion?
Sure. Supervisor, I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We have public comment from Arthur Edelman of Seacliff.
Hi, my name is Arthur Edelman, 110 Du Bois Avenue, Seacliff. Last week, I addressed the board regarding New York American Water, and the board came back and advised that some correspondence would be going out to state representatives. Here, I'm just like to know if it was done.
Yes.
And if I can get a copy of said correspondence.
Please touch base with Matt Rose. I'm looking for him. He might have stepped out for a moment to make sure that we get you copies of that correspondence. You're very welcome.
One last question.
Yes.
Does this, under what rules of semblance does the board function? Like Robert's Rules of Order or?
Town code.
I'm just curious, because I've been on boards and then all boards members were required to read the Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay.
And the audience should also be familiar with the rules. I was just curious, what rules does this board follow? Is there another book of rules? Because unfortunately, the chaotic nature of this meeting I found it surprising.
It's a shame that there are a few who would like to disrupt things and take the public off of understanding what we're doing, and that really seems to be the big problem. But in your discussions, yes, Councilman?
No, I just want to point out, the town clerk is not here, so Ray stepped in to do it, so there might have been a little
Yeah, it was just illustrated. But isn't Robert's rules of order governing?
Well, we have our town code, but Mr. Rose will give you all the details that you would like answered, and get you those copies.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
so why don't you meet with him after the meeting is over? Thank you. Mr. Robert Ripp. Good morning, Mr. Ripp.
Good morning, Mr. Saladino. I tried to just provide you with this information before you voted on Winters Brothers, but you didn't want to hear me, so I just wanted to point out that some of you may remember I was very interested in having the town come in to do the sanitation of my neighborhood. And I reviewed all the Winter Brothers contracts, and I'd like to bring to your attention, I brought it to Mr. Mandeto's attention, maybe some of you remember, but Winter Brothers doesn't have a contract with the town to do private sanitation. They get a permit from the town clerk to do private sanitation. And as part of that permit, they were required to handle recyclables. Now, the town does have a contract with Winter Brothers to do the solid waste removal, okay? Somehow, the town worked a deal out that in the solid waste removal contract, there's a clause that absolves Winter Brothers from doing the recyclables. So the town worked it out years ago that Winter Brothers, even though they were supposed to have been doing the recyclables all this while and would have saved us millions and millions of dollars, the town allowed Winter Brothers to abstain from their requirement to do that. When I brought it to the board's attention, the members that are here now, that were there then, turned a blind eye and ear to me. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ripp, the only advice that I can give you on this...
You can't give me any advice,
is
sir.
to conduct yourself in a way that is professional, but when one hears the comments that you make here and alerted to some of the outrageous things you've written, it's no wonder that that might have occurred. But certainly hasn't occurred under this administration. Ah, yes, another speaker. Mr. Fryer.